Okay, today's Daf is Samech Dali. We're up to Samech Gimel at Beis. We're about 5-6 lines from the bottom. We saw yesterday, just as a segue, we saw the concept of in a contract, a futures contract, with the problem being that you have to wait to get, since you can't get it now, right? You're giving the person money, it's agar notar, right? You're getting schar for waiting, right? That's the klolo de milsa of ribbis is agar notar, but yeshloi, if there is to the person, then it's not agar notar, and there it would be okay in yeshloi, right? If you have it, then we say he's providing it for him now, and that it goes up, it's going up in his rishus, and therefore it's more similar to mekach memkor than it is to halva. Okay, so now, Vamr of Nachman. Someone borrows small change from his friend. The Ashich Bey Tufina, and he finds, you know what? He was supposed to borrow X amount, and he finds more money there. If it's possible that you can figure out that he made a mistake, and we'll see what that means in a second. You'll be chayiv to go ahead and give it back. So in other words, there's a svara to say when he counted out the money, he mistakenly counted out too much. Then you have to give it back. The ilav, and if not, then matana ba'almahu, then it's a matana ba'alma. Now, guys, this is the malva giving to the loiva. So there's no ribba shaila. This is the malva giving to the loiva, that the loiva is getting more money, right? And
he has to borrow $100,
but he's still going to pay back $100, and he finds more than $100. It's not a ribba shaila, because it's in the malva going to the loba, the extra money, right? Good. So he finds the extra. Now, how do you know if it's extra money or not? How do you know, right? Hechidami bichtei shoydas toya. What does it mean? Bichtei shoydas toya, that why it might be extra money. Amrav Acha Breder of Yosef be'asirusa, tens, the chemishusa, and fives. In other words, into the denominations, you asked to borrow $50 and you find 60. Ken Zayin, when he's counting tens, he gave you an extra one, or who had in fives. But if you find you borrowed $50 and you find $52 there, then certainly it's a matana, because clearly he didn't make a mistake in counting it out. He's counting $10 bills. He's not counting 50 singles, though. Okay, he's counting right. So there's a svara to say that it's a matana. That's how you would know. If it's a mistake, it could be that you got extra money and it's the same denomination. If it's a different denomination, then smaller denomination, then you know it's a matana. The inish to kifahu, and let's say the person's a tough guy. In other words, let's say the person that you borrowed from is a tough guy. Right? And he's not, you wouldn't expect him to give you a matana, and you find, in my scenario, you find $52 there. Do you have to return it? Says the Gemara. I'm like, no. Dilma migzal gazle. Maybe the person stole from you, since he's a tough guy. Maybe he stole from you. And you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to go ahead and swallow it up. He's shoving. He stole from you $2, and he's lending you $50. So what did he do? He put the $2 in there to Muchayva. He was a little maybe embarrassed to go ahead and say he stole from you when he's returning the $2. So he goes ahead, and when he in the loan, he'll happen to just throw it in. That's called havla. The Tanya, we saw this guy's Masechta Baba Kama towards the end. The guy's someone steals from his friend, and then he swallows it up in the cheshbon. In other words, again, this is the idea. I guess you have to inform him that you're returning it. The inish dasim alma, like shakal b'tari ba'adei my. What happens if you're borrowing from a person that you never had anything to do with? Never, nothing. There's no svar to say he wants to give you a matana. No svar to say. There's no svar to say about that he's a ish takif, that he's a gazlan. So do you have to return the $2 or not? So Amalei Dilma inish achlin gazle. Maybe another individual stole from you. So Amalei, and he told him the following: listen, ki Yosef Pliny pshiti minach. When you go, Pliny goes ahead, right, and he and you borrow from him, from and he lends money to you. Avlei becheshbin. Go ahead, right, and be mavliya the cheshbin to pay him back. Ki Yosef Pliny pshiti minach, when he goes ahead, right, and he borrows small change from you, avla b'cheshbon. Who's he speaking to? He's speaking to the malva, right? He's speaking to the malva. So when he lends you money, then go ahead and put it in. So therefore, there's still a svart say it's matana. Amrav Kahana, Av Yisibna B'Shalhi Pirkei the Rav. I was sitting in the end of Rav's drasha. In other words, he came in the middle. He came late. The Shah Mr. Ka'amar, and he heard that Rav say, "Curry, curry, curry is a squash. It's a pumpkin." Lo yadana my kamar, and I don't know what he was talking about. I don't know about pumpkin. Like in the middle, gourd. Whatever, what's he talking about? Adama. Like, what's he talking about? So, busted to come Rav, when Rav got up and he finished the shir, Ami Lahu, Rav Kahana said to the Talmidim, my curry to come Rav. What was the halacha that Rav was saying curry? What exactly was that? So, Amullah, the Talmidim, Amrali, the Talmidim told the Shvi Amalek, Hachi come Rav. As they said to me, right, this is what Rav said, Haiman Diyav Zuze Legina. A person that gives money to a gardener, a curry, for a pumpkin, let's say a small gourd, because as the asara curry, b'nei zersa, and for a 10 squash for a zuz, you're going to get a zuz that's a half amma. Zeres, guys, we have zeres achbay by I think the aphid, right? The fold of the aphid, it's a half a tefach. So in other words, a small gourd, a half a tefach, half an amma, excuse me, I said half tefach, a half an amma, so it's 3 tefachim, it's 6 tefachim. No, 6 tefach to an amma, it's 3 tefachim. So you can get these smalls, they go for the price of what? For a zuz, you can get 10 of them. For amalei, and yehivnu lecha b'nei garmida. Pay for it now, and later I'm going to give you what? I'm going to give you what? Big ones. So is this a futures contract? Yes. Is it mutar or rasa? Isnahu, if he has what? The gourds, then yeshloi. Lesnahu, if he doesn't have him, then asa. So l'chayra, this is the classic case we've been discussing all along. A futures contract, which seems like ribis if he's not getting anything. But since Yeshloi will view it as what? As if it's in his rishus already, that the money is going on what he has, right? The money is going on what he has. Okay? So l'chayra, what's the chiddush over here? What's the chiddush of this case? So Mao de Tema, even the memela karabu, since these gourds, they grow by themselves, shapedami, I would say that what? It's okay. Kimash Malon. In other words, guys, he would need to have large gourds in his possession for this to go through. The small gourds are not going to do the job. Im yeshloi means if he has the larger gourds, then it would work. What's the chiddush? I might think if he has the smaller gourds, it also works because the smaller gourds grow them to bigger gourds, right? Right? They'll go into bigger gourds. So I might think that even though he doesn't have large gourds, he has small gourds, it would work, right? Kamash Malon, Kamash Malon that it doesn't work. Kamash Malon that it doesn't work. Unless he has the big gourds. Unless what? Okay, if you look at Rashi says, less nahu, v'oidon ketanis hein aser. If there's still ketanis is aser. In other words, he has, guys, the chiddush is, guys, usually when you say einloi, what does that mean? No, guys, eye contact, guys. When you say einloi, what does that mean? Yeah. Nothing. Here, yeshloi, but guess what? But not the right ones. Not the right ones. So according to this one, it's einloi, if he does, even though he has small gourds, and therefore it would be considered similar to ribis, and it will be us the rabbanan. That was a layup. Kiman. And I didn't make himself with him. Kiman. Kiaitana. Titania. Ahoylech lachloiv es ezov. Someone's going to go ahead and milk his goats. The ligzois es rechelov, or to shear his sheep. The laradois es kavaratoi, and to separate the bees honey from the hive. He wants to get the honey from the hive. Matzu chaveira, his friend finds him. V'amar lo, and he tells him, Ma she'ezai cholvois, whatever your milk you get, whatever milk you're going to get from your goat, machalacha should be sold to you. Masha racheli goyses, whatever my sheep is shorn, machalacha. Masha kivrati roida, whatever honey I get down from what? From my hive, machalacha, muta. It's muta. Right? Now, he didn't say anything, right? He didn't say an amount. He didn't say an amount. Good. So let's say whatever, in other words, whatever, he's giving him X amount. There's no guarantee he's going to get his money's worth. Right? Though, if this is your case, there's no guarantee he's going to give him his money's worth. It could be that what? Because he's saying whatever it does, whatever it does will be what? It's muta. Avo, im amaloi, masha easy cholvois, kach v'kach, machalacha. X amount. Masha racheli goyses kach v'kach machalacha. Masha kivarti roida kach v'kach machalacha. Then it's asa. Because over here, there is no risk whatsoever. And this is a case of agar natale. You're giving him the money now for what? For an exact amount later on. In other words, you're not taking any risk whatsoever. It's not here right now. You didn't go ahead. You're going to see the difference between this and the gourds. You didn't milk it yet. You didn't share it yet. You didn't beehive it yet, right? So this is, you're hanging there, Rabbi. You're just getting the beginning of the sugya. So now, this would be ribis. Since you know you're going to get, if I'm not willing to take a risk, I'm getting X amount, whether it's there or not, I'm getting X amount. The afagav the memela karabu. What are you going to say? Even though these memela karabu, goats make milk, sheep make wool, bees make honey. Even though that's going to be even the less shaita, since there's nothing there at that time, asa, therefore it's asa. Now, Rabbi, what's your problem?
Because the wool is on the sheep. It's just
it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It says whatever if it's there, yes, but it's not there. It's not there.
It's a bald sheep.
It's a bald sheep. It's a short sheep. Whatever I'm going to do, it's not there. Okay, so says Rashi, muta. When's the case it's muta? When he doesn't say an amount. Shari kibul love hefsid. He's been makabel a hefsid. Maybe what? Maybe he won't give any milk. Maybe he won't give any honey. Who knows? Uschar. Hilkach. Afilu yimtze yoytzim yishava adamin. Even if you find more than the money he's giving, and he's not getting anything now. Ein kan aganotale. There's no reward waiting for him because there's no guarantee. The havi botzim idamim nami havi shakel. If it will be less than the money he gave, also the deal's going through. Guys, again, klala de milsa. What's the klala ribis? Agar notale. You're guaranteed your schar. The classic case. I'm lending you $5. I'm getting back $10. I make tzutza from the time of the loan. The schar of you having my $5 now for X amount of time, I have the 10 waiting at the end. Over here, it could be he'll have more than that. Doesn't make a difference because it could be he has less than that. And once it's not less than that, it's not the kala ribis. It's not agar notale. It's no guaranteed reward waiting for him. That's the difference. Now, so according to this guy needed big gourds. Good. This guy needed big gourds, right? If he had small gourds, it wouldn't work. Now, can I make a chilik between gourds and milk? Sure, you could. If you milk the sheep now, milk the goat now, right? You're going to get more milk, but it's not the same. If you take the wool off the sheep now, you're going to get different wool. It's not the same. The beehive, if they redo, but it's not from the same source. But a small gourd is growing into a big gourd. So that is far to say that's considered yeshloi. And that's the ikadiyami we're going to see in a second. There's the ikadiyami guys that would be yeshloi. Even the small gourd would work because that's considered yeshloi because that small gourd's going to come to a big gourd. This milk, the milk you're going to get on sale is not the milk you have now. In your case, Rabbi Avi, the wool you're going to get later is not the wool you have now. And the honey you get later is not the honey you have now. Says the Gemara. So, Ikadiyami, Amar Rava said on the case of the squash, Kivin the Memela Karabi, since the squash grows by itself, Shapadami, it's very good, right? Bahaditanya Kach Kach Asa, right? The case of what? It's Asa by the sheep, by the goats, by the bees. Hasam lav mina karabe the shakale lahai. How do you know? The shakale lahai v'asiach mina beduchte. Hachanami karabu the chishakale lahai le'asiach mina beduchte. So in other words, if by giza chalav again, it's not the same milk. It's not the same thing. But by the gourds, it grows. So guys, according to this lashon, fellas outside, guys, look at me. You have a futures contract over here. What's the futures contract? The guy's saying, I'm giving you X amount now for what? For big gourds. And all he has now is small gourds. Is that considered yeshloi or not? According to the first lashon, it's not. And therefore, it'd be usher. According to the second lashon, it will be considered yeshloi. Why? Because those small gourds are going to grow into big gourds. Those small gourds are going to big gourds. And it's not comparable to the case of what? Of chalav or peas or wool, which is interchangeable. And the raya is, once you take away that milk, other milk takes its place. Once you take this, takes its place, right? The wool takes its place, and the same thing. Geschmacka difference. La halacha, guys, listen to this beautiful, beautiful shach in Yeridea Kufay and Gimel. Listen to this nafkamina. If I go ahead and make a futures contract, I say, listen, time lax, I'm going to provide for you yayin at this price, right? And I have it in my rishus. Do I have to provide you the same yayin that I have in my rishus now, or any yayin? Any yayin, right? As long as I have it, it's considered it went up in his rishus, right? But I'm not locked into giving that exact wine. I can give him any wine. As long as I have that wine, it's a good futures contract, right? I don't have to give him the exact wine. I can give him another barrel. If I get more barrels of wine, I can give him those barrels. Good? What about over here by the pumpkins, guys? No. Since the pumpkin, what's the yeshlo in the pumpkin, guys? Is the small one's going to a big one. That's the whole svara. You have to give him that exact pumpkin. You couldn't give him another pumpkin. That's the difference between this and a classic yeshloi. By a regular yeshloi, when you make a futures contract on a commodity, you don't have to give him that exact commodity. You have to give him the same commodity, but it doesn't need to be the exact commodity. Over here, however, you'd have to give him the exact pumpkin, because the whole svara is that's the yeshloi, the one that's small now, that's going to grow up. That would be what in nafkamina between the case of where it grows, or rather, it's just a regular yeshloi. Okay, very geschmack. Again, shach yeridei kufayim gimel sif kot and chaf. Amar Rabbi, shari leila inish lemeimar leila chave. A person is permitted to say to his friend, shari leila inish lemeimar chave. A person is permitted to say to his friend, heilich abar zuze achavita dechamra. Go ahead and take what? Take 4 zuz for this particular barrel of wine. In other words, here's this barrel of wine. Here's 4 zuz. E takfa, if it becomes vinegar, b'shusach. If it becomes vinegar, then it's going to come vinegar what? In your rishus. In other words, I'm not taking achrayas. If it becomes vinegar, b'shusach, it's going to be in your rishus. E yakra, if it gets valued more, e zila or less, then b'shusi, then the harvacha what? The hefsid will be mine. So I'm willing to take a loss. If it goes up, down, I'm willing to take better if it goes up. But if it becomes what? If it becomes total loss, then what? Then not. Okay. Now, can you do this? Sharavula Abaya says Ashraya to Abaya, Hai Korov L'Schar, B'Korov L'Hefsid. This is, we're going to see a case later on. It's Korov L'Schar because the chances of it going up are much better than the chances of it becoming vinegar. So something that is closer to a schar and a hefsid, we're going to call the guy a rasha. And the lumdus here, guys, is since it becomes vinegar, it's not mine, it's yours, he really didn't make a kinyan on it. So if he didn't make a kinyan on it, then how could it be a good futures contract? Fellas, outside, look at me, outside. One thing I've been hacking nonstop. How does it work if it goes up in price and you gave X amount that it's not ribis? Is because it's considered in your jurisdiction. We said yesterday, right? We said yesterday, the Mishapara. If you listen to the Shia, the key was the Mishapara. That since the Mishapara, it's a kinyan. But guys, what is he saying? If it's vinegar, it's in your rishus. By saying that, what's he saying? It's not mine. So what are you saying? You're not making a kinyan. So if you're not making a kinyan, then what are you saying that what are you saying? So why should it work? It's not. It's if it goes up, then what? Then it's going to be ribbis. I'm giving you money now for something that's not in. It's on this particular barrel, but it's not my barrel. So even though yeshloi, it's not yeshloi because you're not being kind it. So if it goes up, it's the same problem of ainloi. So how's it working? So that's his problem over here. So Amalei. So Abaye told Rav Sharavya. It's different over here. Even the Makabal lezula kar lezeh ulezehu. Since he's Makabal on himself, that if it goes down in price, he'll take a loss, then it's considered karif lehefsid in both stadim, and therefore would not be a ribbis problem, right? That would not be a ribbis problem. In other words, since he accepted upon himself the loss as well, right? Since he accepted upon himself the loss as well, therefore it would not be a problem. If he just went ahead and accepted the gain, if it goes bad, it's yours. If it goes up in price, it's mine. If it goes down in price, it's yours. That would be asa. But since he accepted the ability that it goes down in price, it's going to be asa. It's going to be his loss. In that case, therefore, what? It's muta, since it possibly can go down in price. The Ramban learns pshat that what's the aside here, guys? I know I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I need it similar to mecher, not halva. Since the person, on one hand, you're telling me if it goes down, if it becomes vinegar, it's what? It's when you go ahead and say that I'm a kabel, that if there's a loss, that makes it more similar to mecher than halva. Once it's similar to Mechel Halva, the Chacham are not going to go ahead and make a case. Again, remember, all these contracts, guys, are the Rabbanon. They're not exactly Halva. We asked the question, if there's no Yeshlai or no Shar, how do you view the money? I have money of yours. How do you view that money? So we're going to view the money as what as Halva. That's the way we view it, but it's not a loan. You paid for something. We'll just view it as a Halva simply because you can't buy anything yet. The Shar is not out, and the person doesn't have it. So what else am I going to call the money if you can't do anything with it? So over here, since he was makabel if it goes down in price, he's makabel that memeluat. That would be a similar to mecher and not halva. That would be okay.
Why don't you call it a deposit? That alone is a deposit.
What?
Say the money he gave him is a deposit, that alone.
Then he won't be able to use it. He won't be able to use it if it's a deposit. He can only watch it. He's using the money, Mendy. Here, he's using the money. Deposit, you just have to watch it. He's using the money.
Depends on if he's a shayma or not.
He's not a shayma. He
He's a shayma on the deposit.
Correct. So you're asking a question. Why is he? I'm answering your question. I'm answering you once in a while very intelligently. You went ahead and you gave money for a futures contract. You're asking me why is it not viewed as a deposit? Because if it was the view as deposit, he couldn't use the money. Is he able to use the money? Yes. Yes. So it's alva. That's it. You can use the money. Says the Mishnah. If a person goes ahead and he lends his friend money, so let's say he goes ahead, he gives you money, and he's got a chutzner. Don't live in his chutzner, because then it appears that what? Ribis, right? In other words, the Malva is living in his chutzner because he gave him money. And don't go ahead and rent it out for lesser price because that's ribis. That's be ribis. Now, we had the sugim in Baba Kama. What exactly are we speaking about? What type of chutz are we speaking about? One that's rented, one that's not rented. So Amrav Yosef Bar Minyume, Amrav Nachman. Let's qualify the Mishnah. Afa Pish Amru. Even though we say Hador b'chatz chaver shleimi daitai, ain't it tzarich lalei schar? A person that lives in his friend's chutzah does not have to pay him. Hilvahu, if he lent him money, b'dar b'chatzerei, and he lives in his chutzah, tzarich lalei schar. Then he has to pay him. What is Rabbi Yosef telling me? What is Rabbi Yosef even telling me? Tanina, it's our Mishnah. Hamal b'schavera lo yida b'chatzera chinam lo yischem mena pachas v'neishu ribis. So what is the Amoira of Yosef Bar Minyumi saying in the name of Rav Nachman that we don't know from our Mishnah? Our Mishnah says If you go ahead and you lend somebody money, do not go ahead and live in his chutzner. Says the Gemara, here's what it's telling me. If you just had our Mishnah, I would have thought, Hani Mili, when can't you live in the chutzner? The chutzner, which type of chutzner? The chutzner the kaimele igra, a chutzner that's there to be rented. The gavra the ovid lemegar, and a person that usually pays rent. So, what's happening over here? The guy, you lend money, and you usually rent it out, and the guy usually pays. And what are you telling him? You don't have to. Why? You gave me a loan. That's what I would have said from my Mishnah. So, in other words, there's a material gain. There's a physical gain. That's what you would have thought from my Mishnah. That when's it ribis? When he's actually making some money to Malva by living rent-free when he usually pays rent. So he's marviach that he's not paying rent. A chutzid that is not rentable. And this guy's he'll live in the forest. Who knows? He doesn't pay rent at all. I'd say he could live there. Why? Because he's not getting any material gain because he doesn't pay rent anyway. And this guy's not taking a loss because he doesn't rent take anyway. Kamash Malon. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yomi, even in a case where normally the chutz is not rented out and normally the malva does not pay rent, nonetheless he can't live in there. That's the kiddush. Nonetheless he can live in this mifsei karibis. Ikad yamir. Those who say, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yomi, Rav Nachman, Afal Pisha Hadar bechatz chaverei shalom idaitoi ein tzarich la'alei schar. Even though what we say a person that lives in doesn't have to give it. Hilveni, lend me money, v'dor b'chatzeri, and live in my chutzer. Tzarich alei schar. You'd have to pay him. Okay, guys, what's this case different than the first case? Why is this? Hilvohu means the following: a loan took place. Nothing else. Clear loan. And then punk. The guy goes ahead and lives in the chutzer. That's case number one. Case number two is Hilveni. Lend me the money, and now, since you lent me the money, you could live in the chutzner, then you can't do it. So it's a big difference. One is not connected to the actual halva, and the second case is connected to the actual halva. Why am I giving you permission to live there? Because Sylvani, because you went ahead and lend me money. Says the Gemara. Manda Amar Hilvahu. The Manda says that what? Where there was no strings attached, there was an outright loan, and only afterwards he became he swatted. Kol shekain Elveni certainly would not allow the case where he makes it contingent upon the loan. Umandam Elveni, however, the one that says that what makes it contingent upon the loan. If you lend me the money, you live in the chutzner. But we lent him the money, not unattached, no strings attached. Loy, then not. Then you would be able to go ahead and live there. My timer. Since initially when he gave him the loan, it wasn't on the das that he can't live there. Less on board, there's no problem. So according to the second lashon, einachinami, if the loan takes place unattached to the rental, you would be able to. Rabbi Yosef, okay, so you have two lashonis, guys. According to the first lashon, any which way, you're unable to go ahead and live in that chutzner. According to the second lashon, only if you said Leveni, make the loan contingent upon it, but not, you would be able to live there. Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama Tokif Avdei the Inish, the Masik Bezuse. Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama, he was owed money by a certain individual. You know what he did? He took this guy's Eved, and he made him work. In the time when he wasn't working for the other guy, so he made him work. So it's a case of Zen and of his Elei Chasa. In other words, he's not taking it on the other guy's time. The guy, when the Eved was off, he's making work. So this is a case Zen and of his Elei Chasa. No, again, we'll see. We asked that kasha in Baba Kama. I guess he's not making a work that's going to make a loss, or maybe it's offset by the fact he's not getting lazy.
Oh,
right. Amalei Rava Bere says Rava, my time of in Marhachi. So Rava, the son of Rabbi Yosef, said to him, "What's the reason you did this?" Amalei. So Rabbi Yosef told him, "I'm not Reb Nachman severely. I hold Reb Nachman. I'm Reb Nachman. Avda nohum krese lo shavya. An eved's not worth the meal that I give him. And guess what? I'm feeding him. So since I'm feeding him, it's now. It's in other words, with every gain. In other words, fellas, you might think it's like ribbis. He owes him money, and now he's taking what? He's taking the eved to work for him. because whatever I'm getting from the Eved, it's offset by the fact that what I got to pay him. Right. Amalei. So Rabbi said to Rabbi Yosef, "Eimadam Rav Nachman Kigoin. What kind of Eved are we speaking about? Dari Avdei. We're speaking about your Eved Dari, that his Eved Dari, I guess. The Meraki Bekuve. But he was a dancer, guys. He was a jester. He would dance in the bars. In other words, that type of Eved, right, is not worth his grain of salt. He doesn't do real work. But an Eved that does real work, Eved Achrina Miyama, that we say by a real Eved. So in other words, the Eved that you got from him, you're saying that that you're feeding him, that's not a good svara, because that's no svara is only said by an Eved that's a joker. But an Eved that's not a joker, that does real work, we don't say that by. So how could you go ahead and use the Eved? So Amalei, so Rabbi Yosef told his son Rava, Anoki Hadar of Daniel Bar Rav Katina, Amar Svas really. Dama, Hatoikiv Abdei Shalchaveroi, someone grabs the Eved of his friend, Bechasko, but also by Malacha, and he does work, Pata. He's Pata from paying. You know why? Again, it's speaking in the time where he's not going to be working for the master. The Nichale, the master is happy, Nistre Avde, that his Eved shouldn't get lazy. Rashi, so Yagol Yes Batal, V'Yisatzel. They should get accustomed to go ahead and be as a digduk Rashi. If those people like digduk top Rashi. So anyway, so I'm doing you a chesed. You know what? It's just work. So Amalei said Rava to Rabbi Yosef, Hani Mili, when is that stated? Heichid le Mosik Bazuse. That's where the guy doesn't owe you money. Mar, however, you, the master, keeping the Mosik Bazuse, since he owes you money, Michse Karibis. It appears like ribis. He owes you money. You're taking his Eved. You're working his Eved. Right? What does it appear like? When he pays you back, you got what? Your money, your payment, and the use of the Eved. It's ribis. So Rav Nachman didn't say his din where there was a loan. So Amar Rav Nachman, so the Amar Rav Yosef Bar Minyumi, Amar Rav Nachman, Afbi Shamru Hadar B'chatzach Verish Shlomi Daitoi, Ein it Tzarech La'alei Schar, Hilvo V'dar B'chatzeru, if you lend him money, and he owes you, and now he lives in your Chatzer, Tzarech La'alei Schar. So L'chaira, so Rav is very gerecht that Rav Yosef Bar Minyumi, Rav Yosef Bar Chama was incorrect in using this Eved, since it looks like ribis. And in Achanami, Amalei, so Rav Yosef Bar Chama said to his son Rava, I'm having charata. In Achinami, I did the wrong thing, and I'll pay him back if you hold that ribis is Yosef.